All yeses, rightio. Welcome to the online training, guys. This one, we haven't done one of these yet before. It's called ANALYSE Pro. All right. I've chosen to go through and break down Brett Lee's bowling action. The reason I chose Brett Lee is because personally, I think he is one of the most technically perfect bowlers I've ever seen in my lifetime. It allowed him to bowl for a long time, so he was rarely injured, and he bowled at really, really high pace for a long time as well. All right. So what I'm going to do is I've broken it down into 5 key components. So these are the things that I personally think allow Brett Lee to bowl really quick. All right. So the way it's going to work is I'm going to show a quick video of that particular part of his bowling action. Then I'm going to open it up to you guys and ask you for a little bit of feedback about why you think or what you think he does well in that component. And then I'll flick to the next slide and go through what I think he does well. If you do, or if you don't have a notepad and pen, I'd recommend grabbing one. And what I'd recommend you doing is writing down things that you think apply to you, things that you think you can do better. All right. You might have got some feedback before from a coach, or you might just know certain parts of your bowling action that you need to improve on, and just take some notes down about what you need to do to improve it based on what we go through today. The other thing, guys, is what I'm going to do at the end of this, once I've gone through the 5 key components, I'm actually going to give you guys a lockdown task, all right? You can either do it this afternoon or you can do it at some stage this week. So this is probably one of my most common phrases I say to all young bowlers. So I want you to keep this in mind throughout this session. Fast bowling is all about straight lines, okay? Everything you do from point A, which is the top of your mark, to point B, which is the crease, the release point, to point C, which is the batsman. If you can get everything you're doing going in straight lines, so you run up, your arm pathways, you gather, your front arm, your release and your follow through, it's actually really hard not to bowl consistently and reasonably well if you do that, okay? So the first thing I want to point out with Brett Lee is his run-up. So I want you to watch carefully here, and after the video is finished, I'm going to ask you guys for some feedback on what you think he does well. Right, what do you reckon? Type in the chat box. What does Brett Lee do well? Yep, lean forward, builds up speed, dead straight, good posture, smooth, nice balance, very upright, runs in quick, used his arms, train tracks, pumps arms, all really, really, really good answers, guys. So let's have a look at what I've got on the next slide. And you guys have nailed all 4 of those, I reckon. So the first thing to point out is he runs in a straight line towards his target. Okay, has anyone on here ever been told before that they need to straighten their run up, that you run out and back in, or you run too far out from the crease? It's a really, really common thing in young bowlers. All right, and I'm going to show you a drill at the end of this session that I want you guys to go and practice in the backyard. All right, so the second one there, slight lean forward, that just allows him to get his momentum going towards the batsman. All right. The third one there is his arm pathways. So a few of you guys said it in the chat box. His arm pathways are nice and straight. They're going towards the batsman and they're not crossing over in front of his body. All right. And they're not going too far out away from their body. Has anyone ever been given that feedback? They need to improve their arm pathways. Yes, no, I used to cross a lot. Yep. Awesome. All right. The last one there, which a lot of you guys said as well, he builds his momentum up. All right. So he goes, you can see from the start, he starts nice and slow. He's got small steps, and his steps increase, his pace increases all the way to the bowling crease. You can see there he's really striding out now. His arms are towards the batsman. All right, so that's the first one, guys. The second point that I want you to have a look at, I want you to watch this video and have in mind and just focus on his gather. All right, and at the end of the video, I want you to pop in the chat box what you think he does well with his gather. Fire away. Actually, before you do that, the second thing I want you to have a look at is I want you to tell me the difference from the first little part of the video to the second part of the video. All right, what he does differently in his gather. Okay, and the point being here is your action's always evolving. So he's obviously done some work from the first video to the second video. So see if you can point out what the difference is. So actually stop there. By his gather, guys, I mean he's the arm with the ball in the hand, not the front arm. So we're just watching his arm with his ball with the ball in the hand. Cool. So what's the difference from video 1 and video 2, and what does he do well? Yeah, who said that? Tom Blouse, I think, and a couple of others have said the difference is he in the second video he actually gathers a little bit higher. All right, but one thing that does not change, remains the same, is his gathers in line with his shoulder. So you can see here, see the ball's actually above his head there, but the ball is in line with his shoulder. His elbow's in nice and tight compared to here. See how he doesn't really get above his waist in his gather. He stays nice and low. So he's obviously made a change in his action. I think he looks a bit younger there than the second video. And that's just, like I said, guys, a point in case that your action's always evolving. It's not like you develop your action now and that's it. You don't change it. You're always working on it, always looking for things to make it better and more efficient. Okay. A couple of things I've got there with his gather he does well. It's in nice and tight. Okay. So it's not out in front of his body or it's not away from his body. And it's in line with his shoulder. That's the big one for me. If you analyse most professional bowlers, the ball always seems to be in line with their shoulder. Right? No matter, it can go high, like Peter Siddle, for example. He gathered up sort of where Brett Lee did in the second video, above his head. Mitch Johnson, for those that remember watching him, he was very similar to Brett Lee in the first action where he gathered around his waist and his hip. Okay, but if you look at most fast bowlers, all of their gathers are in line with their shoulder. Okay, and that goes back to what I said at the start. Keeping everything in a straight line is a lot more efficient and a lot more powerful. All right, let's move on. Now, in this video, all I want you to focus on is his front arm. So the arm without the ball in the hand. Mitch Johnson is my cousin, Sheldon. Can we get him on for a chat, mate? Flick us a message. Let's get him on. All right, we're ready. I'm going to play the front arm video. So at the end of it, I want you to write in the chat box what Brett Lee does well with his front arm. Pulls down hard towards the batsman, pulls down, keeps it nice and tight, follows through, straight arm above his head, really extends it, he keeps it straight, pulls it down hard and straight, follows through, always aims at his target. Who was that? Jonty, well done, mate, I like that. All right, let's have a look. Or again, all really, really good answers. So the things that I think Brett Lee does really well with his front arm, he gets it in a nice high position. So the thing that I like to speak with young bowlers is a great reference point is getting your elbow above your eye level. Right? It's something that you can see. It gives you visual feedback. If your elbow's above your eyes, you know that you're getting your front arm into a decent position. Okay, if it's below your eye level, you know you've got work to do on in terms of where you're getting your front arm. Right, the second one there is it's in line with his left eye, so he's looking just inside his front arm. It's not out away from his body, and it's not right across his head like that. He's looking just inside, so it's nice and straight towards his target. All right. The third one, I'll go back and just see if I can. I love how he reaches up and out. So this one's a good example. So watch his front arm here. So he's going up, but see there how he's starting to push and reach towards the batsman. Okay, some young bowlers, they get their arm nice and high, but it actually goes away from the batter and they lean back and push their arm behind their head. So we want to go up and out towards the batter. Does that make sense? And then the fourth one I've got there, he leaves his front arm up longer, okay, and he rips it really well down into his hip. All right, he doesn't pull down and away. He pulls down nice and straight, okay. And the first part of that is something, again, I think this is probably the most common error or something that, you know, a lot of young fast bowlers can improve is actually letting your front arm fall away too early or too quickly. Okay, has anyone ever been told that before? That you need to keep your front arm up for longer? Yes, no, no, no. It's probably a bit of advice that you probably need to be a fairly experienced and proficient fast bowling coach to actually identify it. It's not something that's commonly identified. But I know Joel and myself, when we're working with young fast bowlers, it's probably one of the biggest things we work on because what it does, number one, if your front arm falls away too early, your top half and your head start to fall away. And number two is it's out of sync. So your front arm is actually a lever to get your bowling arm moving faster. So if your front arm goes up and then down before you even start bowling, you don't get any leverage on this bowling arm. So quickly go back again and I'll show you what I mean. See how Brett Lee's front arm is in sync with his bowling arm. So they're sort of working like a lever. So some young fast bowlers, I see their front arm is down near their hip when their bowling arm's in that position. Whereas he's working together there to get more speed on that bowling arm. Make sense? Archie said, oh, yeah, I've been told that. Mateo, yeah, I think that's really awesome from your coach, Mateo, because I think pretty much every young fast bowler can work on it. All right. Oscar's been told it. Cooper makes sense. Awesome. Now, number 4 that I want you to watch here is all I want you to focus on is his release point. Okay. And I want you to pop in the chat box what you think he does well with his release point. High, 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 flicks his wrist, high, high, high. Yeah, it's funny. You guys have, this is probably the most simple one. There's not, you know, it's only 2 dot points. Okay. He releases from a nice straight high position. Okay. So I think someone said a 12 o'clock release point. What do you think that allows you to do? What's the benefit of releasing higher? Bowl full, not necessarily full. You can bowl short still. Head in an upright position. Yeah. Someone said more bounce, swing. Yeah, Dano's been listening. Yeah, so the benefit of releasing nice and high, number one, you're going to get more bounce. Really simply, you're releasing from a higher position, okay? And the angles are different. You're going to bounce more. And if you release from nice and high, it allows you to keep the seam upright, okay, which is going to mean it's either going to seam off the deck or you're going to get more swing as well, okay? If you release from a really wide position, all right, number one, you're not going to be as accurate because you've got less room for error. You've pretty much got to get it perfect to get it straight. You're releasing from lower, so you won't get as much bounce, and it's really pretty much impossible to keep the seam upright the lower you get. All right, so we want to release nice and high. The last one I'm going to go through with Lee before we sort of get in, and I'll explain what your lockdown challenge is his front leg lock off. Okay, so watch this video, pop in the chat box what you think he does really well. So a couple of people have asked, what is front leg lock off? Front leg lock off is his front leg there. So the one, his left leg, and it's just, as the name suggests, how well he locks it. Doesn't give way, knee braced, front knee doesn't bend. Whoever said that, there's been quite a few say that. You're absolutely spot on. All right, there's a few things to his legs, his back leg and his front leg, but the main thing I want to focus on is his front leg lock off. Okay, he does drive his back leg really well, gets his knee up and over. But what I think he does really well, and look, guys, this is a subjective one. Like, it's not to say you have to do this to be a good fast bowler. Okay, Dale Steyn doesn't lock his front leg off. And he was obviously a really successful international bowler. But personally, I think it makes a big difference if you can lock it off and you do lock it off. All right. So Brett Lee locks his front leg off completely to allow him to get up and over. And it's also a transfer of energy. I've got that in twice there, sorry, typo. So it's a transfer of energy from your run up to your delivery. So I'll go back and show you what I mean. So can you see there, when he's releasing the ball, that front leg is completely straight. So his knee's braced. And you can see it there. Yeah, someone said like Mitchell Stark, Riley. You can see that. See, so the benefits of that, number one, see how Lee gets nice and high over that front leg. So again, similar to your release point, if you lock that front leg off, and you can even get up now and give this a go. If you're in a space where you can stand up out of your chair, all I want you to do is pretend you're at the release point, and I want you to bend your front knee, and then I want you to lock your front leg off and tell me how much of a difference it makes in terms of the height that you release the ball from. It's probably a good foot, to be honest. So if your front knee bends, you're releasing from a lot lower. You lock it off, you're going to get more height. So all of these little things, like I said, you don't have to do them. You can still be a successful bowler, but they all play, you know, if you put them all together and do them all really well and do them correctly, that's what allowed Brett Lee to bowl so fast for so long. Yep, it makes it a lot higher. Huge difference. Everyone's saying it makes a massive difference. All right. The other thing for that is sometimes when your front knee bends, it causes your body to fall over to the offside. Does anyone do that in their bowling? Their head falls over and their body falls over towards the offside. Because that can also be a cause of that front knee bending. All right, guys, now, so they're the 5 things, like I said. Hopefully you guys have taken some notes on things that you need to improve and how you can do that. Now, I've got a little task for you guys, like I said. You can either complete these this afternoon or you can do them at some stage this week if you're a bowler. Obviously, if you're a top order batter or a spinner and you're just here to listen in and learn, you don't have to go and do this. But if you're a medium pace bowler or a fast bowler, I want you to complete this lockdown task. So number 1 is to do 18 run-throughs. So we think back to Brett Lee's run-up. I want you to try and emulate that run-up. So you can do it in your hall or the backyard. And I just want you to focus on straight lines and arm pathways. You don't even have to bowl. I'm going to show you some videos after this slide on how to actually do these. Your second one there is to do 18 mirror or shadow bowls. Okay, if you've got space and you've got a wall or something like that, you can actually go and do it off a couple of steps into a wall or a net or something. Or you can bowl into the mirror. I was doing this the other day just because I love looking at arm pathways and bowling. So go through 18 shadow bowls at the mirror, and I want you to focus on your front arm nice and high and your release being at, up around 12 o'clock. The third one I want you to do is 18 shadow bowls in the backyard, all right, with a focus on that back leg drive and that front leg lock off, mainly the front leg lock. So maybe get mum or dad or brother or sister to film you and have a look. Okay. Can you guys hear this, the video? All right, I'll turn my earphones off.
This exercise I'm going to take you through now is a run-up drill. So it's a pretty self-explanatory thing. What we find a lot of junior cricketers and cricketers.
This is a drill that we use in our academies and that, and this is what I want you to do in the backyard or the hallway.
Particular is that they're not going straight towards their target.
I won't play the whole video. I'll just show. So basically, all you're doing is setting out cones like that. All right, nice straight line
towards our target. Do is stay basically in line with our train tracks that we call these our train tracks. So 1 line, 2 line. We're not going to be letting go of the ball at all. It's basically just running through the crease and getting used to going in that straight direction and getting all of your body weight going towards your target. Pretty self-explanatory. So like we said before, it's really important that we make sure that our arms and our legs are going straight towards our target. So arms and legs going straight, and that we want our feet going in a straight line. We don't want them over crossing. So think of it as everything going in a straight line and arms going towards your target. And we're just going to let go of the ball ourselves to continue.
Right, so that's your first task. 18 of those in the backyard or the hallway. The 3-point check. This is what you, so you can do this in the mirror. You don't need to have a ball. All we're working on here is our front arm.
Feel that we're getting on 3
and point nice and high. So
for a nice long period of time, and it's up nice and high. So
all you're doing here, guys, is literally a couple of steps. I don't want you to go off your full run. You can either do it into a net like this with mum, dad, brother, sister watching, or you can do it against a wall, or you can do it in the mirror.
Because it is body weight and everything's going towards his target. His front arm, or his bowling arm, is nice and close to his body. So it's got one is on 2 up nice and tall. Let's go of the ball. Okay, and we give feedback. All right, so if there's anything that he would identify here, and it's also a good sort of tool for kids to identify things with other people.
Right, that's task number 2. And then your last one. So what we drive that
back leg as Nick gets a little bit more.
So you can see here we've just set up a little barrier for the back leg to drive over. As I said, I want you to focus more on your front leg, locking that
confident.
Off.
He's going to start to walk and slowly get a little bit more into it and pick the pace up a little bit. Okay, the whole idea with these remedial drills is more about focusing on focusing on the drill in hand and the.
Tanish, no, there's not going to be a batting task for this session. This is a fast bowling session, but there will be in the future.
You're going to get a lot of gains out of this extra run up into the. All right, so
you can
this
see
is
from side on here. Hammer's front leg locks off, up and over. So I want you to do 18 of those in the hallway or the backyard. Copy? Makes sense? Understand? Copy? Awesome. Rightio, guys. That is the end of my session, the Analyzer Pro Brett Lee bowling technique. Do you guys have any questions? If you do,